Were you recording? Damn, were you not recording that?
No, I wasn't.
Shit.
I just started.
Oh, man. Because that would have been a funny intro.
Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
And I'm scared my dad's going to listen to this episode.
Oh, how come?
He's not a fan of this particular group, and when I was younger, he told me never to play it in the house.
Oh, boy.
Well, okay, there's a common theme here,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm not necessarily a fan either, but we will get into this a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So, you're very sultry on your intro. What's going on with that? Are you a Grateful Dead fan at all?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a lifestyle, man.
Do you appreciate Fish too then?
No, they suck.
Wow, is that a common thing with jam bands? I mean,
I don't know.
okay, all right.
I just like Jerry.
Look, I don't know shit about either of them. So
I mean, Jerry's missing half of his finger and can still play guitar. Pretty great.
okay,
There you go.
All right. So beers this week and next week come to us from Alaska. Our friend and coworker Aaron Daly went up there and took some amazing pictures. He's a photographer.
Yes, he is.
As much as he enjoys other things,
You know what Aaron is? He's like a professional hobbyist.
Yes, he is.
He has a lot of
Yeah.
hobbies, a lot of interests, and a lot of knowledge, and he loves to share them.
Yeah.
And he's like really good at all of them.
Yeah.
It's not really fair.
Like, oh yeah, I almost get angry about how good he is at all of this stuff.
Yeah, you know, there's just some of those people.
Yeah.
He's also the smartest person I know.
He would be. I have said this before. Like, if I were on a game show, he would be my phone a friend.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. So this beer, Grateful Red, comes to us from Kenai River Brewing Company, 308 Homestead Lane, Soldotna, Alaska.
Probably going to have to plan a trip to this place. You're not just going to show up there, I'm
No,
guessing.
right. Now, I don't think he went to Soldotna because it's a little more remote, I believe.
Oh, you got to like chop her in? Or?
Well, if you ask Steve Ryan,
Yeah.
he actually placed one of his longtime travelers. This was way back during his Aureus days. Okay, so you have to go way back in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
And I actually remember her name. She has since passed away, but she was on a contract in Soldotna, Alaska.
Soldotna, Alaska.
He had to buy her bear bells. Do you know what bear bells are?
No.
I assume it's something like you wear around your ankle to scare bears.
Ding, 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 ding.
ding, ding, ding.
She
ding.
had to, pun intended.
Literally.
Pun intended. She had to wear these. You wear them on your ankles because she would walk to work. She would walk to the hospital.
Oh, my God.
And she would wear
In the
these.
town you had to wear them?
Yes, yeah, to scare the bears off because it was in the middle of winter. So,
Wow. I'd stay in Omaha.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bear bells. No
she,
thanks.
yeah. It's interesting how you remember names and places and people,
Yeah.
or what, even from that long back ago. So,
Wow.
Kenai River Brewing is closed on Monday, as any good brewery should. Open Tuesday through Saturday, noon to 8,
That's good hours.
and then closed on Sunday. So there you go.
Okay.
It's Alaska. I don't know.
But you got NFL. You got to have this
I
one.
know.
But
Yeah.
I guess you probably root for the Seattle team, I suppose.
I guess.
I don't even know.
Started by Doug Hogue, Hogue.
Okay.
Was a teacher. I met his wife. I'm sorry, along with his wife Amy. They met Wendell and Wendy. That's not a tongue twister at all.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Wendell and Wendy Dutcher. Then they met John and Naomi Wheatman, and they all bonded over craft beer and home brewing. So here's how I think it probably went down.
Okay.
3 dudes knew each other.
Sure.
Okay. They all got together. They thought, hey, our wives should get to know each other, and then we can home brew in the garage, right? Because this isn't an all too common sort of story. So in 2006, then they opened Kenai River Brewing Company.
2006. That's a long time.
Long time. Yeah.
15 years. Is
They've been
pretty
doing
good.
it quite a while.
Yeah.
So it's weird. I almost took the role of Brian this week.
Oh, okay.
So I looked at their food options.
Oh,
Did you look at this?
I wrote a couple down.
All right, go. You go first. Go.
Well, the things that stuck out to me: French onion soup.
I wrote that down.
Did you?
It's the soup du jour. The soup
What's
of the day.
soup du jour?
It's the soup of the day.
Oh, that sounds good. I'll have that.
Look, if you're gonna put, do you know what that's from?
No.
What? One more time. What's the soup du jour?
That's the soup of the day.
That sounds good. I think I'll have that.
That's from Dumb and Dumber.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is.
Right before he meets that guy in the bathroom. Be here at.
God, what's his name?
he wants to pay for
sea
it.
bass.
Yeah, sea bass.
Sea bass. He throws the salt and hits sea bass with the salt. Come on, Dolan.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Okay. Look, if you're cool enough to put a Dumb and Dumber quote on your website, you're cool enough for me.
I agree. And then I wrote down poutine. You know,
Of course.
Yep.
wedge salad.
Okay.
Hadn't seen that anywhere on the breweries. And then the house-made ice cream. I
Oh,
wrote that down.
Oh, I bet that's good.
I want to try this. So as much as I love tacos, which I saw
Yeah.
was their Friday special was tacos.
Okay.
I love wings.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of wings.
Okay.
I'm a connoisseur, maybe,
Yeah.
so to speak. They had two hot wings. They had two different flavors, only two.
Okay.
Our Peninsula Brewers Reserve hot wings. So that's got to be one of their beers, right?
Yeah.
And they use to make the sauce.
Okay.
Then they also have Gummy Bear Barbecue hot wings. What in the Sam Hill is Gummy Bear Barbecue hot wings?
Maybe they're a little sweet. I don't know.
It's got to be like one of those. Have you ever had like meatballs in a crock pot and they put all the grape jelly in
yeah.
it? I bet it's like,
I've had that with chicken wings, actually.
yeah.
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 I also wrote down beer mac and cheese. But,
okay.
So I'll take
sounds
that
good.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly. Their beer is only distributed in Alaska and one place in Washington State.
Probably the closest place.
It looks like it's way on the coast. Yeah. So it looks very
Nice.
simple for it to get,
Yeah.
for a boat to get.
Well,
down
we
there.
say simple. It probably isn't simple.
No. So it's a red.
Yeah.
It's a little hoppier than I anticipated.
Yep. Hoppy, malty. It's a European version of an amber ale. They say here's what the description would be: full-bodied, full-flavored, hoppy, buttery,
Yep. I get that.
a little sweeter, maybe some butterscotch and/or caramelized flavor. Between 4.5% and 7%. So you can get up to 7. I don't know what this is. Probably because get 5.4, 5.5.
5.7.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they say it pairs very well with food, especially things like chicken and turkey. So poultry
Oh.
pairs with.
Yeah, like
If you had a Thanksgiving dinner and a big old pour of this, that'd probably be pretty good.
Yeah.
Here's a couple of the other beers I wrote down from this place.
Okay.
They have one called the Lime Duck. So not lame duck, but lime duck.
Lime
Okay.
Duck.
It's their Mexican lager. Moose Gallop Ale, which is a golden ale. That's 5%. They have one just called Breakfast Beer, which I'm a fan of breakfast beers.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
That's a milk stout, 4.9. So you ease into the day.
Yeah.
The Spruce Tip Double IPA, the DIPA,
We've now we've struggled with spruce tips in the past.
9.2.
Right.
And that seems to be an Alaska thing, wasn't that? Wasn't that where we got that
That
from?
was, yeah.
I think so.
Sometimes you get those. What's like 3?
Episode 3. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it
think
was one of the first ones. Yeah.
Kind of like a gin flavor. Sometimes with those.
Juniper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sunken Island, which is an English style IPA. So I assume way more malty, more like a West Coast. 6.8%.
Okay.
So those are some of the other beers they have on tap. They have 21 taps at this brewery.
Wow.
Which is quite a few.
All of their own.
As far as what I could tell, yeah.
Huh.
Well, I looked at the picture. I tried to scroll it in pretty close, but it looked like, yeah. And then as far as I have to hit the merchandise, because I look at that, they have their own ugly Christmas sweater, a brewery version, which is great. So you can buy their ugly Christmas Kenai River thing. And
Why
they-
not?
I would do that.
And you're
they had-
already like
yeah.
that close to the North
You
Pole.
need it just
Right.
to stay warm.
Right.
And then they have 9 different style and or design of hats. Which, I'd probably end up with 3 or 4.
Exactly.
So that's the merch and the other beers. Now, as far as red ale, we talked about some of the characteristics it should have. Some of the other places that have them, Kenai Creek Brewing Company, heard of them?
I've heard of them.
They have a really good one. And then Boulder Beer Company.
Yep.
Has this is kind of like an OG style of craft beer, like the red.
Okay.
Like that's something that you would have seen in the late 80s, early 90s. So some of these breweries that have been around a long time still have red. Now, a lot of places that are new, you won't find this style.
I remember the first red I ever had.
Oh, okay.
If you
It wasn't Killigan's?
No, no. And I never, that was my roommate in college would drink that all the time. It was called Single Engine Red from Denali Brewing Company in Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And I kind of fell in love with the style at that point. Like, I really liked that beer a lot. That was so early in my beer journey, though. I mean, I was looking for, there was no way I was going to get to IPAs or stouts at that point.
Yeah.
It was sours and lagers and you know, that, and ales and that kind of thing.
You know, when you drink this, it's almost like a bridge between a brown and an IPA.
Absolutely.
It's like in the middle. It's like get the roastiness of the brown, has some hops. It's not overly hoppy, but it's more hoppy than a standard blonde or lager or something like that.
The smell is definitely more of a brown ale. That kind of nutty sort of smell.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a red and an amber?
I think the interchangeable depends on where you make them.
Oh, okay.
It has been called a red more in Europe. It was more of an amber here. But as far as I think it's pretty interchangeable as far as the name goes.
Because I've had like reds that taste like ambers and ambers that taste like reds, and
I think it's just a name convention. I don't think there's a whole lot of difference in the style.
Let's talk about the Grateful Dead.
Let's do it.
Because you can't look at the can, right? You look at the name, and you have to. And
it slaps you in the face. If you
Without
don't
a doubt.
know that that's a Grateful Dead ripoff, tie-in, homage, you got problems.
then you got problems.
You
And
might have had too many of these beers.
You haven't been following along.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. So here's my hot take on the Grateful Dead. Never was a fan. Never.
Okay.
Never. It didn't do it for me until 1987. Okay. MTV.
Touch of Grey.
Exactly.
Boom. I knew it.
Right. 1987 release composed by Jerry Garcia, lyrics by Robert Hunter. So Jerry Garcia composed it, which I guess I was kind of surprised by that, but I guess not.
He hardly wrote any lyrics.
Yeah.
They had a guy that would go on tour with him and write lyrics for like 30 years. He would tour with them. That was his whole job, was to write lyrics.
Well, he's kind of like the other member of the band, right? Like that most people know, but isn't on stage with them ever.
And their opinion on him was like they had to bring him on tour because if he didn't tour, how would he know what they were going through?
Oh.
Right? So it's like he had to live it too.
Interesting.
And that's how the lyrics would, come organically. So forever he went with them.
So he's the Bernie Taupin to their Elton John of sorts? Mm-hmm. Interesting. This was the first music video released by the Grateful Dead. The video was directed by Gary Gutierrez, who had previously created the animation sequences for the Grateful Dead movie. Did not know they had a movie.
Yeah, I think it was shot in like parts of it in Egypt, I think. Like the pyramids, Great Pyramid or something. They had a big concert there.
Okay.
It was also shot after a concert. So they were like, hey, if anybody wants to stick around, we're going to shoot a music video. We need some crowd. Guess what? Everybody stayed.
Why would you not stay?
Yeah.
Deadheads, man.
I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. They would drive hours and hours and sleep in their cars to
follow
watch
them
these
forever,
guys.
yeah.
The Grateful Dead also released a 30-minute documentary called Dead Ringers, the making of Touch of Grey, about the production of the music video. The documentary was directed by Justin Kreutzmann, the son of late drummer Bill Kreutzmann.
Yep.
So I thought that was fun that he ended up directing that. Yeah. So Touch of Grey reached number 9 in the Billboard Hot 100 chart and peaked at number 1 on the mainstream rock charts.
Yeah, it was their biggest hit ever.
But then, I think at some point we talked about the Grateful Dead on one of the other podcasts we've talked about. Maybe just about jam bands and that kind of thing. I want to say, and you went through like a list of songs, and this doesn't even touch the closest number of songs that they played. Right?
Sure,
there are other songs they played way more times than this. It was just the one that happened to hit MTV, and that's what we all. And so that's. I almost feel gross talking about like that's the one because like so as a Pink Floyd fan, I would ask other people like if they're wearing a Pink Floyd shirt, like, oh, what's your favorite song? And they say Comfortably Numb or Another Brick in the Wall, and they say Get Out of Here, right?
Sure.
But or whatever. So you asked me what my favorite Grateful Dead song is Touch of Grey because of MTV.
So here's a pro tip. Because I have a couple of them, but
Right.
if anybody ever asks you your Grateful Dead favorite song and you want to be cool, just say Box of Rain. Then you're fine.
Box of Rain.
Yeah, then they'll be like, "Oh, you're a real fan."
Box.
Nice.
B-O-X.
Yeah, of Rain.
Of Rain.
Yep, just say that's your favorite. This is my connection. This is the first time I ever heard Grateful Dead.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure my cousin Travis, he was a Deadhead. In the he was about I'm gonna guess 8 years older than me.
Okay.
He's probably about 50 now. So in the 80s, he was 16. The Grateful Dead lifestyle, appeals to 16-year-olds
Sure.
and 46-year-olds or whatever. It's a thing. So I heard this song, saw the video at his house. I remember he had the big like fabric flag poster hanging on there with the skeleton and with the roses on the head. and
Yes.
that was where my first introduction to the Grateful Dead was.
Did he appreciate Touch of Grey?
I think so.
Okay.
I think for Grateful Dead fans, it was kind of like, what, how, why are we popular? This is like our little secret. But then also, I think it made it harder to get tickets for a while to
Yeah.
the concerts,
Right.
But
Because idiots like me
might show up there. But otherwise, it was just a blip. I mean, they've
Yeah.
been playing shows for 30 years at that point almost.
So I guess to a certain extent, like I never really appreciated. I like the video. The video's like skeleton, like puppets.
Yeah, it's a mix between the live band and the skeleton version of the band. Yes.
And then at the end of the video, it pans out and you see like way above, like the skeletons are kind of marionettes.
Oh yeah, they're like fishing line.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like each of the band members is controlling their own like skeleton
Yeah.
marionette puppet, which is kind of fun. So I wrote this down. I read the lyrics. They are gibberish. Mm-hmm. They really are.
Oh yeah.
So here we go. There's just two of them I clipped out here. This is
Okay.
towards the end. I know the rent is in arrears. The dog has not been fed in years.
Yeah.
It's even worse than it appears, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Cows are giving kerosene. The kid can't read at 17. The words he knows are all obscene.
But it's all right.
There you go.
I will get by. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
I remember the video. I mean,
course.
it's just, yeah.
Of course.
There's an old friend. I'm friends with him on Facebook. He's a chef now, which is kind of fun. His name's Joey Paulson, and he was kind of my first like introduction to Deadheads. Like that was his thing or whatever.
Sure.
So no,
I think because of that song, we had probably more Deadheads in high school than would have normally been. 'Cause
Probably.
they were my age when that video came out, and probably found out about them, and so 8 years later.
Right.
You're 16 at that time. That's
Yeah.
a good time to be a Deadhead.
there were other groups. There were Led Zeppelin fans and Doors fans
Oh, yeah, I
and
was a Doors
Beatles
fan.
fans.
Yep.
And, right? I mean, you kind
Yeah.
of fell into one of those categories. So
My house was Beatles and the Doors.
A dead-free zone.
Dead free zone.
So what didn't he like? The
why, yeah,
noodling?
why did your dad hate that?
I don't know. He also
Interesting.
did not like Zeppelin. He didn't like. Yeah, so it wasn't like that Grateful Dead versus Zeppelin
Sure.
thing that was going on. He was just Beatles, The Doors, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Okay,
Oh,
I could live
interesting.
with those
So-
things.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty heavy guitar. I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, yeah. Okay, I guess I could see.
I think that's a lot of it. He was just like the guitar playing was meh
Okay, interesting.
in the Grateful Dead.
I remember the first time I brought home the Doors' Greatest Hits on tape, and my room was upstairs, and I set it on the steps, and we had to eat dinner. And my dad walked by, and he just smiled.
Was
And-
it the double cassette?
Yes, it was.
With the
Yeah.
shirtless pic?
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I had that one.
And he just smiled, and I thought in my head, "You son of a bitch!
he
I
knows
don't want,
what's up."
I don't want you to like this, but you liked this way before I
Oh,
did."
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Funny.
You want the real deal? You want the scoop?
Hit me.
All right. Do you know what this logo is called?
No.
Do you notice it on my shirt?
I do. Yes.
This is a different brewery.
From Stop Brewing.
Stoup?
Stoup.
Stoup?
Stoup. The art of science in beer.
It's in Washington State, outside of Seattle.
Okay.
Oh.
This is the same.
Okay. What
This
is
is called the Steal Your Face. That's what it's called. The logo.
That's
Steal
skull.
Your Face. Yes.
that skull-looking logo?
Same thing on that can.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So here's who came up with it. A guy named Bear Stanley. Now, Bear Stanley is a very famous dude in the counterculture world.
Okay.
He had like, if you're into, we're going to get into the woods a little bit with this.
Okay.
But currently, they every few months release these bootleg albums from the Grateful Dead. They're called Dick's Picks. And they're like, the guy's name is Dick, right?
Yes.
And he's like, okay, this
Clever.
concert in 1989 in Grand Rapids, Michigan was awesome. Let's release it on vinyl when they do.
Wait. I'm a little confused. Can you explain that to me?
They would record like sound.
No.
Dick's Picks?
Yeah.
It's just because they're just kidding. Okay, I was like, what? I was like, they record a concert all the time. They always recorded the mix, the soundboard mix.
Okay.
And then they release them. There's like huge bootleg community. And they were one of the first bands that like encouraged people to come and tape them, audio tape. They had a place in the crowd where you could stand in the late 60s, early 70s. You'd be wearing like a reel-to-reel recorder. Because that's how you did it. And they would make a room for you over here on the side so you could hold up your microphone and record the concert. And then you would trade them with your friends or
That's so
whatever.
cool.
And there was like a bootleg market for that. And they still continue to kind of do that. So Bear Stanley was a sound engineer and / chemist, which is important when you're in the Grateful Dead community.
Oh, I understand.
He was the first individual to mass make LSD.
Oh.
So they would do the acid test concerts in the mid-'60s in San Francisco, Haight-Ashbury time. And basically, you'd go to a house show, and Timothy Leary or this guy, Bear Stanley, would just dose you. You drink some Kool-Aid or whatever.
Whoa.
And then Grateful Dead would play, and you'd be tripping, and it would be a great time. And that's what they did. Forever and ever and ever. Wow.
No wonder they had so many fans.
No kidding.
He also was the one that kind of came up with, they called it the wall of sound. Different than the one, the guy convicted of murder. I can't think of the top of my head. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, gosh. That's
Part of
gonna
the-
drive me crazy. All
Part
right, I'll
of
think of it.
The Deadheads scene? Like
No, this was
thing?
this is a guy that did Motown records.
Oh,
but he just type in wall of sound, it'll tell you. He did
Okay,
Beatles records too. Anyway, Bear Stanley comes up with the idea of like stacking amps. He's the first one that ever did that. So they stacked amps super high. And then that was when they would play their shows, they were usually pretty loud.
Phil Spector.
Phil Spector, he had a different kind of wall of sound.
Interesting.
That was more vocal stacking. He was the first one Bear Stanley, to make up this logo. So in '69, the band's playing a festival. And even if you've played a show with more than 2 bands, your gear is all in the same road cases. It all looks the same.
Yeah.
He's like, we need a logo so that we can load out fast. So we know our stuff versus the other people's stuff. Let's get out of here. That's what they wanted to do. So we came up with this logo idea. He had seen it like on a bumper sticker, and it was like a lightning bolt, and then red and blue on other side of the lightning bolt. So that was the first original idea. And he takes it to their friend who's named Bob Thomas, who was like an illustrator, graphic designer, and he had also earlier designed the Dancing Bears for the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
So together they collaborated and they came up with this image, and that's what they start putting on the road cases. So like, okay, there's Jerry's, bunch of guitars or whatever, Bob Weir's bass, whatever, bam, on the drum kit. That's what we got.
Were they the first band to do this?
I don't know if they were the first one. I think The Who had a lot of stuff like that too.
Okay, I was going to say because this is like common practice now.
But this was like kind of where it started. So we're talking 50-something years ago. At first, it was just that logo. Later, They called it the Grateful Dead logo initially when fans would see it. That was like, okay, we know that's Grateful Dead stuff, right? And then the fans later called it Steely for some reason, and then Steal Your Face. So that was how it kind of over time changed.
Interesting.
It was due to the fans, not the guy that did it. Huh. In 1972, April 17th, there's a song that comes out called He's Gone. And that's the first time that Jerry sings the line about stealing your face. It's like the line is, I'm going to steal your face right off your head. And that was about drummer Mickey Hart's dad, who was their tour manager a couple years before that and stole a bunch of money from the band. So he's basically saying, I'm going to steal everything you got. I will even steal your face. And that connects with the fans. They put it on the logo, and that's how it all kind of ties together. 1976, the band embraces this. They release a double album called Steal Your Face. So that's the first time they've like officially said, this is what we're going to say this is now. And it was a big album for them. It had the skull on it. So if you look at the album cover, it's just that logo basically. And then I think there's some roses maybe on the top. Then they used it in, we were talking about the movie earlier. It's in that. The song shows up in there. Their set lists were very different all the time. That's why these Dick's Picks are popular, because people fight over the best set list ever, the best shows ever, because they're so different. It's not like what we're used to nowadays where you go to see a band and you look online and like, okay, here's this. I know where I'm going to go get a beer because he's going to play this song. Right. Like they didn't do that. They barely even had set lists. They would just be like, all right, this is what we're going to play tonight. Let's do it as they would play. So it was, I guess, fairly popular. It was bootlegged a lot, this image. They would make, like, there's a whole community around the Dead, and we could do for hours and hours of this stuff. But it was on T-shirts and blankets and posters and anything you wanted to do. If you saw that, that meant you were in the know, you liked Grateful Dead, that sort of thing. Last time they really used it, like, it kind of was adopted, like, officially. But it was this thing called Bear's Choice. So like the Dick's Picks, right? He made an album off the soundboard mixes, put it on there again, and the bands called it Steely. So they went from the Steal Your Face, all that sort of thing. But it was one of those things that just morphed because of the fan interaction and more people talking about it, and they just liked it. It's just kind of a cool look. I don't know. I think.
I think
obviously this brewery took it, and that brewery took it, and the band has it, and like, everybody knew somebody in high school that had a shirt that had this on it that was tie dye, and
my friend Joey Paulson, right?
There you go.
Yeah. So, between this and the Bears, right? Between this and the Dancing Bears, I don't think there are more recognizable logos, but this from bands.
I think you're right, and like other than maybe the Rolling Stones mouth.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say
that's pretty big. And man, I think there's a connection actually between those two.
And you talked about it, the Jim Morrison, where he doesn't, he doesn't have a shirt on.
But that's not necessarily. I mean, that's like an image that we come with. Where this is like, you just see this and you know exactly what the band, what it is, and what it stands for. He put it on his ties. Remember, Jerry Garcia had his own line of like ties, which was funny in the '90s. Like they had ways. They like almost is more merchandising with them than Kiss.
I would only buy, so I used to buy them at Dillard's.
That was where you could get them.
Yes. So when I was manager of a theater back in the day, theater, motion pictures, not acting.
Sure.
I would only wear Jerry Garcia ties. I loved them. I loved them. They were just so different and weird. And
I had a Christmas one that I still have. I got it in the late 90s.
Just conversational. They're fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
But this guy, Bear Stanley, kind of an innovator. Mostly known for his acid, to be quite honest. Like, he's the one that started. I think he's the one that gave it to the Beatles.
Whoa.
Like in acid?
67, yeah. Like, I think they were hanging out and he gave it to John. So it's like he's touched a lot of things, obviously, and changed the whole world, quite honestly.
What's the movie where Jack Black, he's like one of the Beatles? They're like,
Walk Hard?
Walk Hard.
Yeah.
And like, we're the Beatles.
Yeah, he's in that. Yeah. Justin Long, I think, plays George Harrison. And yeah.
Yep.
Dewey Cox.
Yeah. And they're doing acid there too, or they just, they're doing something. Like, man, you don't want any of this.
That's right.
I do want this.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. But that was all around 1967, 1968. And it's still to this day. Like the version of the Grateful Dead that's still out there touring with John Mayer.
Whoa. What?
Yeah.
No, that's not real life.
Oh, yeah.
Really? John Mayer is singing Grateful Dead songs on tour.
Dead and Company it's called. It's all the original members that are still around.
Okay.
And the shows are like 3.5, 4 hours, and it's amazing.
I
would pay
way.
I would pay $500 to go to one of these shows.
I bet it's an experience.
Oh yeah. But they only play they go on a tour, but they play like 8 shows a tour. And it's like San Francisco, New York, LA, Dallas, Miami. It's like he ain't coming here. They're in Europe a lot, but yeah, he's kind of stepped in. He knows all the Dead songs, plays them like Jerry.
I did not know this.
Yep. It's like his big, I don't know if it's side hustle, because he's been doing it the last 3 or 4 years now pretty extensively.
Here's the thing: when you're John Mayer, you can do whatever the hell you want.
I guess.
Right? I mean, that's...
like his actual career is taking a backseat to being in Dead and Company, which is weird because he's one of the most famous and big selling album artists of our current times.
Does he cross over, sing a couple of his own songs in there or whatever? No. He just does Grateful Dead songs.
Yep.
That's freaking
And
cool.
a lot of them he doesn't even sing. He just plays guitar.
Mm-hmm. I'll be damned. Did you know this?
I had no idea.
No, I didn't either.
Yep.
Weird. That's cool and weird all at the same time.
So that's my tiny little bit of. We could have went way deep. I will plug this other thing. There's a podcast out there. Mm-hmm. It's a true crime podcast to people like that, and it's about this murder that took place after a Grateful Dead show in California, in the 80s.
Okay.
And it was a famously unsolved case. And the host of the show tracks down people that were at the concert and following the band around. And it's pretty interesting to hear their firsthand accounts of living as a Grateful Dead groupie or road, traveling the band, following them all around, and how they survived and made money and that whole thing. There's a whole subculture just in the parking lots of the shows,
Weird.
And there's a pretty good podcast out there. If you just Google Grateful Dead podcast, it's the first one that pops up.
Got my chips cashed in, keep trucking like the Doo-Dah Man together.
Does this change your mind about the Grateful Dead at all, Dolan, or has your dad's influence just like you?
I really don't have a personal vendetta or
hatred
or
You just doing what your dad said.
I just didn't listen to him. I still don't. I mean, it's not like if I hear a Grateful Dead song, I'm like, oh, that's garbage. I mean, it just on my playlist.
You could play one right now, and I don't know if I could pick it out outside of maybe hearing Jerry's voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Maybe.
I was that way. I was not a Grateful Dead fan at all, and then I got into a couple of their albums. American Beauty, I'd start there. That's almost like an alt country sound for them. Terrapin Station is a great entry place for them. And then there's one, it's in the late 70s. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's got a light blue, aqua blue cover, and there's some a cityscape in it. I think it's 77. That one's pretty good too, but American Beauty and Terrapin Station for sure is a good entryway into the Dead.
Right.
There we go.
I'll give it a shot. So, all right, TripAdvisor for Kenai River. We got away from the brewery a little bit, but that's okay. Look, they told us to, right? I mean, look at the can.
Oh, yeah.
They told us to do this.
Hey, they say not all that wander are lost. That's a Grateful Dead thing.
That is a Grateful Dead thing.
We wandered all around today.
So TripAdvisor, 4.5 out of 5 on 138 reviews. Here was the one I clipped out. And this is fun because this seems like my wife, maybe in a lot of ways.
Oh, okay.
Okay. September 2019. It's just listed as couples. I don't drink beer, but my husband does. I always try a sip. He ordered a flight. I like the amber nut. It was good. Wish he had ordered a full glass of that one. Ordered some hot chicken tenders. Those were fabulous. If you like hot chicken, then I suggest you order this along with the amber nut beer.
Oh, see? Pairs well.
There you
chicken,
go.
There you go.
turkey.
Yep. So there.
She wishes that she could have, it's like when those memes of those are our fries, those are my fries, like that whole thing. She doesn't want the beer, but she wants to he wishes he would have got more of the beer.
little
so
bit
she
more,
could have
yeah.
had some.
Right.
She could have ordered her own beer.
Yeah.
This has happened, and my wife still claims she's not a beer fan, but there have been a handful of times where when I order the flight, I'm like, oh, try this. I'm not going to like it. Oh, I like that. And then she ends up drinking it, and I don't get it.
Yeah.
So
You got to take the first sip.
it happens. It happens.
It's okay.
Untapped, 536 check-ins, so not that many.
No.
I mean, you have to be, unless you're in Alaska or one place in Washington State, right? You've got to be deliberate about going there to get it.
That's right.
So 536 check-ins. Where do you think we land?
371.
Ooh. Okay. Ooh, did I telegraph that?
3.87.
Why 3.87?
87. Touch of gray.
Touch of gray. There we go. Not that cool. 3.52. So,
Oh.
right now, 3.5. It's 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drinkable.
Yeah.
I'd drink some more
I'd
of that.
probably do a 375 myself. I like it.
Yeah. There's a hoppiness to it that I didn't anticipate that I kind of enjoyed.
Hoppiness,
so.
maltiness, roasty, a little sweet, not bad. No, I like it. And I'm always a fan of breweries that make music tie-in beers. So
Oh, if there's a music tie-in, I would generally order it. Or a red, something that you wouldn't necessarily see often.
yeah.
Yep, I'll take that. So, or an Irish red or whatever you want to call it.
So like if they had this on a T-shirt, I would buy that in a minute.
Well,
That'd be
I mean,
cool.
Obviously,
look at the shirt you're wearing right now. Of course.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. All right.
That wasn't on accident, by the way.
Well, I wore my Alaska Brewing Company
There you
shirt.
go.
I was deliberate about that this
We're
morning.
nerds.
I know. And especially since there's no cameras recording.
Oh
it at
yeah,
all,
nobody's
right?
gonna know except 3 of us.
We did this for ourselves. I
Yep.
did this for you
Yep.
too. So next week we're going to stay in Alaska. We're going to do a regular IPA and a double IPA, and hopefully get a little 70s because the logo sure as hell is.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see where we go with it.
All right.
But I'm looking forward to that one too. So, hi fellas, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.